Hey folks, MACT back, and I have a video on the oil that was drained when the water pump failed. Yep, old water pump on 2011 Ford Edge, you all have come to know as Lulubelle. And hey, at 330,000 miles, the water pump failed. Original water pump, folks. So if you get this idea that not doing maintenance and how you drive the Edge, hey, the water pumps can make it at least 330,000 miles, which has been proven. And I had another Ford Edge, a first gen, and I drove it to 285,000 miles before I traded it, and it had the original water pump. So either I'm very lucky or my maintenance works. But either way, it did fail. I sold it at 322,000 miles, and it failed at 330. The buyer knew it, the buyer was aware of it, and the buyer wanted it driven until failure. And then it did fail. And I helped the buyer repair the Edge and put a couple weekends, lots of hours in, and we got her running. And that Edge is now working towards well over 500,000 miles is the goal. So we'll see how far it goes. It might be a million-mile Edge. You never know. But it is being driven daily, and it is ferrying around a bunch of young boys and girls doing sports and everything else. So it is being used pretty good. But I did grab a sample of the oil. Drained directly out right after the water pump failure. So we do have the oil, because I knew the oil would show us something. So I went ahead and I did the Blackstone thing like I normally do. Keep in mind that as far as the oil goes, I had the Edge, I changed it, I had the last date on the oil, and the last time I had changed it was January 22nd. I had 318,591 miles on it. Well, then the new owner got it and didn't do oil testing, and I know for a fact it was changed twice in between that time of 330 and the miles I just stated. So it had two oil changes in about 10,000, 11, 12,000 miles. So it was doing good until that last one, and then we went ahead and grabbed it, sent it to old Blackstone, and got the oil test. And as far as that goes, I don't know what brand oil it was. I have no idea. I'm not right now. That is not a concern on the brand, because that's irrelevant, because Lulubelle's had well over, I want to say at minimum 30 different brands of oil ran through it, and it's probably closer to 40. But anyway, what the comment section said over in Blackstone was, Lulubelle developed a problem. You said the water pump failed, and that would explain why we found coolant contamination. It's visible as potassium. Silicon is high too, and it may show dirt getting past the air filter, especially if there weren't any silicone sealers or lubes used recently. Coolant and or dirt may explain aluminum and iron, which show excess piston bearing and steel wear cylinder shafts. Check for air filtration and intake plumbing issues, and use short oil runs to monitor. Despite the 4.6 TBN, listen for unusual noises in case there's a mechanical problem. Now, I will explain in the water pump video that I'm going to be doing why I'm not concerned about this. So going down, we have the aluminum was at 79 parts per million, which historically Lu was running 4 parts per million. Keep that in mind. The chromium was at 1 part per million, and historically Lu has reached 1 part per million one time in the history of her oil changes. So that's not completely unusual. Might say something about, you know, the water pump failure, but at that point we're not concerned. The iron was 93 parts per million. Again, historically Lu ran between 6 and 9 parts per million historically for iron. So yes, this is definitely high for that deal. The copper was 6, and historically Lou had been running copper from anywhere from 2 to 4 parts per million, and the copper was at 6 parts per million in this case. Lead was 0, tin was 0, Molly B was 282, and historically Lou's been lower than that as far as the Molly B that was in the oil. So whatever he was using had a lot more Molly B in it than what I was using historically. Nickel was 0. Manganese was 3 parts per million, which historically, it's always been about 1. Silver was 0. Titanium was 0, and historically Lou has been anywhere from 0 to 6 parts per million for titanium. So whatever oil that this guy was using is definitely different than what was being used. Potassium again signifies coolant. The potassium was 323 parts per million. Historically, as far as potassium goes, Lou was running between 0 and 6 parts per million. So yes, that's a good indication. If you have that high of potassium, it's probably too late. You already got water pump failure. Boron was 37, and historically Lou has been anywhere from 15 to 83 parts per million for boron. So nothing unusual there. Silicon. The silicon was 28, but historically Lou has been between 6 and 14 parts per million. So not real far out of line, but still higher than normal. Sodium is 19, and universal averages are 34, so nothing to be too concerned about. But historically, the oils I use, the sodium has been between 3 and 9 parts per million, so testing justifies that. Calcium was 1,318, and Lou has been running anywhere from 1460 to 2347 as far as calcium in oil. So this one is about middle line, I guess you can say, as far as the oils go. Magnesium was 503 in this oil change that we pulled it out of, and that is definitely higher than what I've been running as far as oil changes, because Lou is running between 149 and 433 parts per million historically. Phosphorus, 743, and historically Lou's been pretty much the same, anywhere from 645 to 786 parts per million, so that's right in the money. We don't have any problems there. Zinc was 855 for the last oil that we pulled out, and historically Lou's been between 810 or 685 and 858 parts per million. So overall, pretty normal as far as that goes. Barium has of course been 0. The SUS viscosity at 210 degrees. The last test was 54.3, which is definitely within the range for the actual viscosity of the oil. Most oils that Lou's been running have been running between 60 and 55.5 as far as the viscosity, so pretty much in that range. CST viscosity, 100 degrees Celsius, was 8.58, and essentially Lou's been running 8.91 to 10.23, so all within range as far as that goes. Flash point was 415, and basically right in the middle, as you can see in the picture here. The flash point is pretty much spot on as far as all the other oils go. Fuel is still at less than 0.5 all across the board, so Lou has no fuel issues. And then antifreeze was tested as positive, which historically Lou has never tested positive for antifreeze. So there we go. Water, there was no water detected. as far as that goes, and that's been historical that way across the board for Lou. Insolubles of 0.2 have been historically that way across testing. The 4.6 is definitely one of the highest TBNs, but again, this oil did not have nearly as many miles on it, and it was changed fairly recently. So therefore, historically, Lou's been anywhere between 1.6 and 3.7 TBN on the oil changes. So that changes up and down, of course, the quality oil and the time that it's being used. But overall, Lou had that water pump failure, and I will tell you that the metals that showed up in the oil testing give me no concern. Lou was not knocking. There is no issues. The metals that were found in the oil are directly related to this thing. This thing ate itself alive. And I have the proof in the pudding. Is I'm going to show you what happened to the water pump, the amount of aluminum and steel that it generated, and it just cycled it throughout the entire oiling system. The biggest thing I'd worry about would be the chromium for the bearings and other metals that I'm worried about. But this metal, I can tell you that you see for aluminum and steel, came directly from this water pump. Not this one. This is a, if you guys don't know, this is a first gen because it only has one sprocket. But I have it as an example compare to the one that I tore apart, which I'm not going to show you because I do not want to give away my water pump video. But trust me, it is laying in pieces right here. You guys can't see it. It's right here. And I have dissected that thing to death. And of course, I will show you that when I do the video. But rest assured, if you start seeing anything like I got here, indicating water or coolant in your oil, you have a water pump failure. And you need to stop driving it immediately. Do not continue driving it. Water pump failure is no joke. It can cost you. So don't play around. Stop driving. Get it towed. Even if you got to say, oh, I can make it the next 2 miles. That next 2 miles and that water in there is not going to help your engine. So stop. Do not drive it. And then get it fixed. I will tell you that Lou is running perfectly, and later on I will be driving Lou, testing it, and showing you all. That 2011 Edge is running great, and I will have 4Scan hooked up to it. We'll show the temperatures, we'll show VCTs, we'll show everything, the cam phasers, all that stuff in full operation using the 4Scan Lite program and an OBD Lynx MX that I utilize all the time for all my vehicles to monitor them. So that is the oil report in general, and that is hopefully going to help you all understand why I am not concerned about the actual engine in Lou. It might be hard to swallow right now as far as understanding why I'm not worried, but it was not driven long enough to cause damage, and the metal in there was because of the water pump. It was not because of any engine damage. So running smooth, and that's all I can say for now. But remember, like, subscribe, join MACTFORDEDGE. Go to the MeWe site, go to Rumble, check me out over there. But also YouTube and Facebook is where I have a presence. Also, the MeWe group is growing about 500 strong now, so it is the largest Ford Edge MeWe group in MeWe. So that ought to say something. We're growing that just quickly. So join up there if you don't like the Facebook thing anymore. Definitely a lot less issues. But anyway, my feet hit the floor today. I'm having a great day. I want you to have a great day too. Band of One's always got some great music. Mercy Grill's got one-liners for you. And I might give you a little sneak peek into the VCT world as I have dissected some VCTs.
Thank you for watching MacT's videos, and remember to like and subscribe. This is a Mercy Girl production.